This is a samurai cuirass, and this is a European cuirass. What's the difference? Both wrap the chest and hang the weight on the hips. The European one is a single-shaped plate, hammered over a form and buckled to a matching plate behind. The samurai version is hundreds of small lacquered scales, sewn into rows and laced together with silk. That lacing bends with the rider. It also drinks rain, and a wetsuit only gets heavier as the day goes on. This is a Kabuto, and this is a Morion. What's the difference? A Kabuto is a helmet, so the real question is how each one is built. The Morion is a single sheet of steel, beaten up into a comb and rolled at the brim, and it leaves the neck bare. A Kabuto is riveted from separate plates, sometimes more than 60, and a skirt of laced lames hangs off the sides and the back to guard the neck. This is a Menpo, and this is a Visor. What's the difference? A visor is part of the helmet. It hangs on two pivots at the temples and lifts when the wearer wants air, and it is made from the same steel as the skull. A Menpo is a separate mask, laced on under the chin, and it gives the helmet cord something to grip. Many have a removable nose, a horsehair mustache, and a small hole under the chin to let sweat out. This is a Sode, and this is a Pauldron. What's the difference? A Pauldron is fixed to the rest of the harness and turns with the arm, a cap of overlapping plates that follows the shoulder joint. A Sode does not follow anything. It is a flat rectangle of laced lames hung on a cord, and it swings behind the arm as a small shield. Raise the bow arm, and the Sode slides back out of the way on its own. This is a Kote, and this is a Gauntlet. What's the difference? A Gauntlet stops at the wrist. It is a steel glove articulated over the knuckles, and the arm above it is a separate piece. A Kote is one sleeve that runs from shoulder to fingers. Mail and small plates are sewn straight on a cloth, so it weighs very little and folds up. An archer often wore only one on the bow arm and kept the drawing hand bare. This is a Suneate and this is a Greaves. What's the difference? Same job, two ways of holding it on. A Greek Greaves is a single sheet of bronze, sprung open and clipped straight onto the calf, and it needs no strap at all. A Suneate is a row of iron splints stitched to cloth and tied round behind the leg. The splints let roll up flat. A leather cap covers the knee, and there is usually a patch inside the leg as well, where the stirrup rubs. This is a Yumi, and this is a Longbow. What's the difference? The grip is not in the middle. A Longbow is symmetrical, held at its center, and a tall one stands about the height of the archer. A Yumi is taller still, past 2 meters, and the hand sits roughly a third of the way up from the bottom. That puts the long limb clear of the horse's neck, so the bow can be swung across the saddle and shot either side. This is a Yari, and this is a Naginata. What's the difference? Blade shape, it decides everything else. A Yari is straight and pointed on both edges, so the only useful move is a thrust. A rank of them can be taught to a village in a week. A Naginata is curved and sharpened on one side, made to be swung in an arc. Both bury a long tang deep in the shaft, which is why the head outlives the pole. This is a Tanto, and this is a Kaiken. What's the difference? A Kaiken is a Tanto. It is simply a small one, short enough to hide in a sleeve or push into the sash. It is usually mounted with no guard at all, so nothing catches on the silk. Women of the samurai class carried one, and a bride was given one at her wedding. The blade underneath is made the same way by the same smiths. This is a Tsuba, and this is a guard. What's the difference? How much of the hand each one covers. A European guard grew into a cage, bars and rings sweeping round the knuckles, because the fencer's fist was a target. A Tsuba is a flat plate with a hole in it, and it mostly stops the hand sliding onto the edge. It carries no defensive bars, and by the Edo period it had turned into jewelry, signed by specialist makers. This is a Hamon, and this is a temper line. What's the difference? There is no difference. They're the same mark under two names, and the English name is the wrong one. The smith paints clay along the back of the blade, thin at the edge, then quenches it. The edge cools fast and turns hard and brittle. The spine cools slowly and stays springy. The wavy border between the two is a hardening line, not a tempering one. This is Tamahagane, and this is steel. What's the difference? Tamahagane is steel. The difference is the furnace. Iron sand and charcoal are fed into a clay box for 3 days and nights, and the box is broken open to get the metal out. It never melts, so the carbon ends up spread unevenly through the lump. The smith breaks it up, sorts the pieces by how they fracture, and folds the good ones together. A blast furnace does that sorting for you. This is a Koshirae, and this is a Shirasaya. What's the difference? One is for wearing, one is for sleeping. A Koshirae is the dressed mounting, lacquer and braid and metal fittings, and it is what a sword wore in public. A Shirasaya is plain magnolia, 2 pieces of bare wood with nothing on them, cut to store the blade without trapping damp against the steel. Fittings hold moisture. This video is history, not an identification or valuation guide. This is a saya, and this is a scabbard. What's the difference? A saya is a scabbard, and both start from the same idea. What differs is the outside. A European scabbard is wood covered in leather or plain steel on a cavalry sword, and it hangs from the belt on rings. A saya is bare magnolia under many thin coats of lacquer. It is pushed through the sash with the edge upward, held by a cord through a small knob on the side. This is an Ashigaru, and this is a samurai. What's the difference? Rank, not equipment. Ashigaru were foot troops, hired by the season and issued armor from a store, all of it the same. They were handed a spear or a matchlock. A samurai belonged to a hereditary class, kept his own harness, and had the right to 2 swords and a surname. The man with the matchlock decided more battles than the man on the horse. This is a Jinbaori, and this is a Surcoat. What's the difference? Both go over the armor, and both started as weather gear. A surcoat is plain cloth pulled on over the mail, hanging to the knee or past it, and it kept sun and rain off iron that would otherwise cook the man inside or rust on him. A Jinbaori is short and sleeveless, cut like a waistcoat and often split up the back, and it stopped being practical almost at once. The best ones are imported European wool, which cost a small fortune. This is a Horo, and this is a cloak. What's the difference? A Horo is not a cloak, whatever the shape suggests. It is a silk bag on a light bamboo frame, tied at the shoulders and the waist, and it fills with air when the horse moves. Inflated, it stands off the back and slows arrows before they land. It also made the rider unmistakable, which was the point, because a Horo was granted, not bought. This is a Sashimono, and this is a Nobori. What's the difference? Where it is carried. A Sashimono is a flag laced to a pole that drops into a socket on the back of the armor. A man wears his own identification and keeps both hands free. A Nobori is bigger, carried, or planted, and it marks the unit rather than the man. The Nobori never went away. The same shape stands outside half the shops in Japan today. This is a war fan, and this is an ivory fan. What's the difference? Weight. An ivory fan is nothing but carved sticks, pierced as fine as lace and pinned at one end, and it weighs almost nothing. A war fan has ribs of iron, or is one solid iron bar shaped like a folded fan. It works as a small club that nobody thinks to take off you. A commander used one to signal, and the heavy sort ended up in police work. This is a Kusarigama, and this is a flail. What's the difference? Both are farm tools that went to war, and neither is easy to use. A flail began as a threshing tool and kept the shape, a haft, a short chain, and a weighted head that swings free, so it can be dropped over the top of a shield. A Kusarigama keeps the sickle sharp and adds a long chain with a weight on the end. The chain is the weapon. It is thrown to tangle a blade or a leg, and the sickle only finishes the job. This is a jit, and this is a truncheon. What's the difference? One prong. A truncheon is a turned wooden club, painted with a crown and a number, so the constable could show it as his warrant. A jit is iron, with a single hook standing off the shaft near the grip. The hook is for a sword. It traps the blade long enough to twist it aside, and the jit has no edge, because the job was to take the man alive. This is a jingesa, and this is a war hat. What's the difference? Almost nothing, and that is the interesting part. Both are a wide iron hat beaten from sheet, cheap to make, quick to issue, and worn instead of a helmet by the man who did the fighting on foot. The Japanese one is usually a shallow cone. The European one a bowl with a brim rolled round it, and either shape turns a cut coming down and throws rain clear of the face. A jingesa is often lacquered and painted with the Lord's badge, so it doubled as a uniform. Neither covers the neck. This is an O-Yoroi and this is a Damaru. What's the difference? How they close. An O-Yoroi is built in 4 flat sides, with a separate panel strapped on under one arm, so it hangs like a box. For broad skirt, panels drop from the waist. A Damaru wraps the body in one piece, laces shut at the side, and hangs 7 or 8 narrower panels instead, so the legs move freely. The box came first for mounted archers.